Hello everyone, and you're watching Bitcoin Bubble news channel. Bitcoin is about to do something very scary. Since the first higher high of this 7-month range of misery and pain is already in the books, are the bulls about to finally make another new higher high? But something more important than that. It's not about how much you can get pumped on, it's about how much you can get dumped on and keep getting dumped on in. If you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins, click like and subscribe below. So without further ado, let's jump right into what could be the most important Bitcoin rise. Since the beginning of time, maybe even before people invented fire, the wheel, and Cocoa Puffs. That kind of crazy stuff is crazy. So let's take a closer look at the Bitcoin chart. As you can see, this is the first higher high we've put on this chart going all the way back to the start of this range in March of this year. This is a big deal. While watching this movie, other videos or tweets, you might be thinking, HM, this isn't that big of a deal. What if I told you it's the most important thing in the world? Okay? Oh, because it's the most important thing in the world. That's the point. It's really important. I mean, it's even bigger than you thought. This is why I want to say it. As I already said, March, April, May, June, July, and August. After the first high, which was the all-time high in March, each of those months had a lower high. We just barely made it to a new high, a higher high. That's why it's huge. That doesn't mean we're going to start moonshotting right away. Backtests are actually very common with these kinds of patterns. But you can see that this descending channel is just that, a descending channel. We've only gone above this route 3 times so far, and the other 2 times in July and May we got very strong rejects when we couldn't hold the top here as support. That being said, this is a huge moment. It's certain that this route will be tested from the back at some point, which means that the price will go down at some point, maybe even soon in the next few days at the earliest. It will happen sooner, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I believe that is normal. However, the most important thing that needs to happen is that when we get that back test, it needs to be held. That repeat has never been held before, and this channel has been going for 9 or 10 months at this point. Every time it has tried to hold, it has failed, so we are currently in the middle of a move up. This move might take us somewhere. At this point, we've already reached new highs, which is really the most important thing. That is actually the first time that this has been changed in its format. But to be honest, we do want to see, I'd like to see even more upside before any kind of back test. But once more, we don't even have to promise to get one. That's just what I mean by normal and healthy. Bad things happen when we get a back test and fail to hold the top of this trend. This means we fall back down. That's not a good idea. We're not doing that at the moment, but I'm bringing it up because that's also a bad thing. You can't just talk about good things. You can't just talk about good things that could happen. You have to talk about both good and bad things. But on the daily chart too, we're still trying to get above the 200-day moving average, as I said in the video 2 days ago. Since it dropped below it in July, it's been very big. But what's even more important is that we're trying to get a weekly close above this for the 21st week. In July, we got one. As you can see, it quickly changed into a mega giga dump of sort. It went from a nice 69 to 57, then all the way down to 50 the next week, but then it gave us a giga bounce that might have been one of the biggest we've ever seen. Take a look at this candle. Big. A lot of people are also thinking about this to the head of this inverted head and shoulder. And this chart I think is the better one because it shows the head and shoulder better. Right? This is what everyone has been talking about. This is pretty much the collar. A huge bust would take us to infinity and beyond twice over. Also, the 21-day moving average just crossed above the 50-day moving average in a strong way. That's a big deal. We are already above the 200-day moving average and now we have this strong cross. This is by far the biggest chalupa. It's clear that the RSI has been breaking out. But now take a look at the MACD. Since 2020, this is the most strong the MACD has looked. You could say it's late 2023. Or I could even say it looks about as strong as 2020 or 2021. The mega went up before the giga pump. In short, the MACD is getting there. Once more, the RSI looks great on both the daily and weekly charts. The 50 week was very important and we held it. It was a few weeks ago. We are now back above the 21-week moving average because all of these price changes look very good and healthy. This is the exact direction I believe makes the most sense, and it's been the main point of these movies for a few weeks now. Once Bitcoin starts doing something, I can try to post videos about every other day. Before Bitcoin started doing something, I don't see how anyone could post videos every day or when nothing was happening. I don't get it at all. We're almost at the point where it makes sense to start looking at these daily moves though, because we're about to do the biggest things that you look for at the start of these huge bull runs. I guess you could say that the US dollar is still going down. It doesn't look like it would be strong. I don't have any, I can't think of any reason why the US dollar would start to rise right now, as long as the Fed sticks to its current policy of quantitative easing. I think it will keep going down. In the past, it has helped drive up the price of Bitcoin when the DXY fell on the stock market. Things weren't looking good today though. It was actually red a bit, but Bitcoin was really doing pretty well. It was like it's barely going down, it's still at all-time highs. For some reason, it doesn't look like it's setting a new high today. Anyway, the cryptocurrency market cap is also doing something interesting. It's almost hitting its 200-day moving average, and it's also getting a bullish cross with the 21 going above the 50. That's pretty big. The 21-day and 50-day moving averages fell below the 200-day moving average at the end of June or the beginning of July. This is a sign that prices are going down, right? We're getting close to the point where that can start to turn around in a big way. Overall, it looks like weekly will be great. Is this a different picture of the Bitcoin daily chart with this rising cross? It doesn't look too bad, in fact it looks pretty good. But more importantly, this is the daily report. But the weekly chart is what's really important, and I can see very clearly on the weekly picture that we are moving into a huge pump. It will take longer than a daily chart to play out, but this is still very important. What's going on, and it looks great, so definitely, as I already said, I want Bitcoin to stay above 65. And if we get a back test, it will depend on when it is held, since this line is actually getting lower every day. In other words, a good back test is healthy if it happens at the right time. Yes, it's good for you. We should check to see if we get one. Still, it's possible that we'll have a nice pump in the next few days and break these lower highs that were set at about 69 nice or 70,000 US dollars and just keep building a good price try structure overall. That looks like a big bull sign, right? Giant bull flag. Are we looking at a cup and handle that are really, really big? I think it's very likely, and I think things are going to blow up very quickly. This is basically the calm before the storm. It's not very interesting yet because we haven't seen anything. But I think what's coming next is the most exciting thing that can happen.